Hello guys, Damanitan here and welcome to another video. I'm going to be bringing you just a little bit of a look-see through the new set, which is Shocking Vault Tackle, which is the 100 card set released in Japan. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through just some of the Pokemon Vs and just see, and then just do like a little bit of evaluation on them and just see how they're how they might compare to the current meta, or if they're going to be meta defining, if they're going to be really good or not. So I'm just going to go into it, and then what I'll do is I'll rate them on our little system. So we've got Welder Target. It doesn't have to be a Welder Target, it just means it's a really good card. And then we've got It's Lit, which is basically cards that have potential, but they might be a little bit unseen. And then we've got a Mess. We've got some good cards that might be likeable, but they might not necessarily be super strong for the competitive format. And then we've got Butterfree V, because that was the I just remember that card being the least useful card in the previous set. Don't hate me, that's just my opinion. So we'll get into it. What we are looking at here is Shocking Vault Tackle. What we'll do is we'll go through the attacks, read their effects, and just figure out what it can be joined with, what it could be good for, etc, etc. Anyway, I won't bore you to death. This might take a while. This is kind of a different video. I was going to do a video on Volcanion and why I'm I love my fire types, but I think it's such an overrated card. But I was like, well, there's not really any point. Nobody's really asking that question, so I thought I'd kind of bring something a little bit interesting, what my personal thoughts and opinions are. And I'm kind of doing this for my own research. I want to be prepared for the next format so I can actually win games. So yeah, like I say, I'm just droning on, so let's get into it. So I'm going to scroll down the list and just hit some target Vs. If you're, again, this is purely for V Pokemon, just because, they're the shiny stuff. We'll see what they can do. So then at first we've got Orbital V, which is got some very nice artwork, and I'm not sure if you can see it there. There we go. So we have here, so you may switch this Pokemon out. So it's an okay single grass energy attack for 20 damage, and a switch out, so you can kind of leave and do a little bit of a hit and run. It's not super strong, it's not super amazing, but it's okay. So this attack's good. So we've got Mystery Weave here, which does 30 for each energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. So I can only see that being good against fire decks, which is kind of irony, really. If you attach this with a weakness guard energy and a grass energy, then he could be a serious contender. But I think the Charizard decks, when they use their sort of fire attacks and stuff, and we're thinking it from that point of view, they tend to ditch a couple, so they kind of have their own sort of accidental protection against this card from that. But against most standard fire types, this would be really good. I don't see it being super powerful. I think against things like Eternatus, it's going to be a bit it'll do a nice 110 damage because they use 2 energy for their main attack, but I can't see it being super powerful against loads of decks unless it uses 2 energy. So I will copy this. I'm going to put that on it's meh. It's got potential. You can't really see it from there, can you? This is not good. Okay, so I just had to change where my camera was so you could actually see this board. So I'm going to put this on the meh. So it's got some potential. I wouldn't say it's super strong, but I'd say it's a pretty decent card. It's not I don't think it's it's lit, this is something to be excited for, but it's got potential. It would probably take about 3 shots to knock out some of the strongest decks in the game. So alright, we'll continue on. So we've got Orbital Vmax, so we'll look at this one. So this one again kind of has a similar attack, except it does 50 more damage. So we'll count this out. We'll count this in as a V Pokemon as well, and treat it the same way. So I'm going to change the list actually. I will just include the Vmaxes. If they've got a Vmax, otherwise I'll just go in on the V. So we're going to delete this one and shove Orbital Vmax. Quality's going to be super terrible, but you get the gist. And I'll say that's Intellect, because I think that's got the potential to actually do some serious damage, especially against like some of the good decks. So we're talking 200 damage against Eternatus. No, not 200. 150. But then again, I think it's better than, you know, or Beetle. Anyway, we'll continue. I think that's got some really good potential there. And it's got the ability as well. I forgot to actually, if your opponent's active Pokemon, you may put 1 damage counter on each of your opponent's Pokemon. So you can switch this out essentially using switches or any other like gusting effects for your own for your own bench. And again, that could really, like, you know, if you could combine that with Zigzagoon, get 2 of these on the bench and you're hitting 2 damage, and then you can Zigzagoon. It's great. It's a bit, I'd say it's a little bit of a slow strategy, but it's very good for spread decks. And then you got Max Wave G Max Wave, which again I've just spoke about. So we'll continue on. So okay, I looked at this set earlier and I really like this card. So this is Talonflame V. So what's great is that if you go first, you can use this attack on your first turn, which is absolutely busted, because basically he acts as a as a shield that could be welded. So basically, if you go first, you can attack with it, but you get to draw your hand, discard your hand. It basically is a dead NA when you attack. Discard your hand, draw 6 cards on turn 1. It's got a decent fire attack for 160 damage and only discard 1 energy. Again, I see that's pretty good for most standard fire types. I think if you can get anything above like 80 damage for 3 energy using a welder turn 1, you can already take a straight knockout for most basics. 160 means you can basically kill. You can basically knock anything out in the game, which is, again, that's really good. So 3 energies for 160 damage. Get to discard. You have to discard an energy, but sometimes like the target might be worth the knockout. So this thing can essentially take down like Rillaboom Vs and things like that. Again, well, anything that has fire weakness really. So we've got that. But its ability is going to be like ridiculously good, because it'll always be that one move you can just sort of go back into if you're like really like running out of cards, or if you need to refresh your hand. So yeah, I'm gonna. He's definitely he's good. He is going to go in the It's Lit as well. Put that down. He's gonna look horrendous on camera, but I don't really care, as long as you can kind of get the idea of what I'm trying to do here. So yeah, I'll put that into Lit. Again, it's not super powerful. It's not gonna be like, it's not gonna win you games. Okay, so I'm back. My cat just kept crashing into my door, so I had to kind of like go deal with it. He was like being very pesty. Yeah, so I was like with door shaking. I thought like someone fallen over it. It was just my cat trying to like come through. Anyway, so yeah, Talonflame goes on the It's Lit because it's not game changing. I think it's good. I think it's really powerful, but it will give you good advantage at the start of the game, but it might not necessarily. I don't think it's game changing. I just think it will give you good advantage, which is why I don't consider it like welder target greatness. Anyway, so I shall continue with the excitement. So what's our next V? Okay, so we have Galarian Damanitan V. So, Frozen Headbutt. We'll get this picture up. He's got kind of a cool picture. They've done him justice. Not really a fan of Galarian Damanitan. I didn't think it was needed. I feel like normal Damanitan could have been showed a bit more love. Like, I don't remember him getting like an EX card or a GX card. Maybe he did, and I just wasn't been playing long enough. But I feel like that could have been showed a bit more love. But again, fire types. Well, the target. Anyway, we'll get back into Galarian Damanitan V. So Headbutt, 50 damage. Flip a coin if your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. Not very. I mean, it's alright. For 2 energy, like I probably wouldn't like waste my time trying to charge a Pokemon up for that kind of attack. Just because you might slow your opponent down for paralysis, but you know, there's a lot of switching items in the game at the moment. There's now Scoop Up Net as well, so even if you're hitting baby things, it's still gonna like be a bit meh. And then Freezing Fist for 190 damage. This Pokemon does 30 damage to itself. I don't think it needed to do 30 damage to itself based on the fact that water energies aren't very easy to accelerate. But then water Pokemon don't focus on acceleration. But again, I still don't think that's like broken to the point it needed to do damage to itself. If it does damage to itself, it just becomes a weaker target for... Yeah, my point. So yeah, but Galarian Damanitan's got a Vmax, which probably means that he's got more potential when he evolves. So for 200 damage and 4 energy does 200 damage and it does 30 damage to each of you, but that's good. For 4 water energy and with Frostmoth being in the game, that's alright. I mean, if you mix that up with like a Vitality Band... No. I'm just thinking about it. Because if you're like... You can hit everything on the bench. If you're playing, for example, if you're playing against Eternatus, this would be great against like Charizard decks already. Like, you know, obviously it's going to be great. It's like 400 damage to kill a Vmax, easy peasy. Firstly, getting water energy isn't. I mean, it's not. You know, you don't want to run a 2 evolution line. So you're running Galarian Damanitan and then Frostmoth, and then you've got to get the energy as well. There's a lot to go into it to get the setup and then get the Pokemon going. With most decks at the moment, the setups tend to be a lot easier than what this is demanding for water Pokemon. And that being said, with the previous attack from Galarian Damanitan V, and it does 30 damage to itself, again, it's kind of... I don't know how I feel about it. I don't think it's like super strong. I mean, it's good, don't get me wrong, it's good if you can get it off, but you've got 2 evolution lines to deal with, and then you've still got to have bench space to kind of, get this attack going twice, so you can actually kill stuff, because you're still not hitting for that 340 damage, or that most, which is like the most Vmaxes tend to have. So, again, it kind of puts you in that weird predicament of you've still got to hit the second attack to get the knockout rather than... But it does prime whatever, you know, if it does 30 damage to all your opponent's bench Pokemon, you still only need to do that 10 extra damage plus the 2 attacks as... But then again, this is just me like theorizing. In a weird way of speaking, if you've got to do 2 attacks anyway, doesn't that defeat the point of doing the bench damage in the first place? Because you're not essentially, the game's not going any quicker. You're not taking prizes any faster. So that's the kind of point that I'm trying to kind of get at with why I don't think this card is great. I think it's good. Bench damage is great. I mean, it will knock out things like Zacian. So if your opponent's got a bunch of Zacians on the bench, you hit this attack off, then you only have to hit the other 200, which is great. And it will knock out most like bench support, which is great. And then you're hitting 30 damage on everything else, which then you can keep kind of cheesing that until you prep it. I don't know, it's a weird card. It's a good card. I think it's like... I think it... I don't know. I think it goes with... It's Lit again. So he goes to It's Lit because... It's got some great potential, but I don't see him being like super strong in the sense of it's not 2 attacks to win. No. I don't see him being super strong because ultimately with the decks that are scariest at the moment, it will still take 2 hits regardless of the bench damage. It's if you can capitalize on their basic Pokemon, so Charizards or the Zacians, where the Vmaxes don't get to evolve. Those are just some examples. Eternatus V as well. This becomes really good in that point because then you only have to 1 attack and then the rest is just sniping, which is fine. But again, it's very like situational at that sense, and for 4 energy and requiring another evolution line just to get it powered up. Let me know your thoughts on this. This could be... I could be, like, talking stuff I don't know about, but these are just my personal opinions. Okay. So, we know about this because I do believe we've just had a Pikachu come out of the tin. to have. So we've got search your deck up for 2 lightning energy and attach them to this Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. Great Volcanion, but for himself, best way to compare it, because that's like another bench energy bringer, or an active energy bringer. I like it a lot, I think that's powerful. And then it sets you up for a 200 attack next turn, so that's going to be really good. If you can get that initial charge up first. The only issue I have with it is that if you don't get this going turn 1, and you're trying to charge up your Pikachu late game, he's got very weak HP, which makes him a good target. And if you're up against like a Charizard deck, for example, it can hit for 200 damage turn 2. If you go first with Charizard deck, attach 1 energy, turn 2, and if you're lucky enough to draw the Welder, hit 2 energy and attach for the 3rd, and then you got 4 energy, you can hit this and knock it out straight away. Same with like Eternatus. Actually, I think it would be fine. Like, it's not as scary against Eternatus, just like as again for another example, because you still have to evolve Eternatus. But then again, you're kind of in the situation of if this goes second to charge himself up, he's already at risk from one of those 1-turn knockouts because of the lack of HP. So we've got Thunderbolt for 200 damage, discard at 1 energy. I don't like that. I think that's like, I think 200 damage to discard all energy from that Pokemon. Like, again, this is just me comparing it to other cards. Charizard has 220 HP, 4 energy, for 220 damage, discard 2. And I know this is 1 energy less, but I think the free energy just makes it it just kind of makes the card worse for no reason. It doesn't need that much of a drawback just for the 200 damage. I mean, yeah, because you kind of get to attack, like, turn 1 straight away. And obviously it's designed in mind of evolving into the Pikachu Vmax. So we'll just go into that. So we've got Gmax Volt Tackle. 120 damage plus discard all energies. And if you do, this attack does 150 more damage. So with this again is cool. So you're doing it for 270 damage, but it feels a little bit short to just... I mean, maybe I'm thinking it one-track mind in that I'm trying to focus on being able to take single knockouts on big VMAX Pokemon. Because that's what the deck is. But the thing is, even to knock out the baby stuff, this still isn't, like, powerful enough. Sorry, my phone went off. To kind of... Unless you're, like, discarding all your energy, which is a massive cost for this Pokemon. Just to do 270 damage. And again, there are Pokemon a lot more stronger attacks that require less cost for more damage. And maybe I'm thinking of a one-track mind. It's still very good. 120 damage for free lightning energy is like strong. But for 270 damage to discard and make it energyless. And then the only way to charge it back up is that there's an item card in this set which enables you to... Basically, it's like memory energy, but in the form of an item card. So you can access the previous Pokemon's attack. So I think this attack was designed in mind that you're going to go back into Pikachu's... I'll get the tool... It's a tool card. It is... There we go, memory capsule. So it's supposed to be combined with this card. So, again, that's why the card really has value if you're playing it with it. It's good if combined with that, but if you don't combine it with that, I think, like, it will struggle. Because, it's again, you're not hitting enough damage, and for a VMAX, you're definitely not. Most VMAXs are hitting stupid amounts of damage. But again, my problem is that I'm thinking about the damage, but the utility of it and the setup is great. And you can choose not to, so there's that as well. What do I think about it? Do I think it's broken? Again, I'd say it's really good. I think they're trying to bring lightning types. Actually, within context of that, there is Electrode as well, which I will go into. So basically, you can knock himself out and then search your deck for 2 lightning energy and attach them to your lightning Pokemon in any way you like. And that's Buzz Up Generator, which is its ability. If you run that with the Pikachu again, it kind of feels like there's a 2-2, like a stage 1 like lineup going on here. So we've got like the Galarian, Damanitan and Frostmoth. Maybe you could like use this with Pikachu, and then kind of, I think that's where the card becomes powerful, is if you're discarding, if you're using Electrode with it, so you're not just relying on the self-charge up attack, because we've also got Tapu Koko, but most Lightning has lost their support, which means they're going to struggle a little bit, but this will probably make it good. So I think based on that, is it just going to be me saying it's lit again? Like, just super powerful, but again, it's got the potential. Just made into all. So these are like the Vmaxes as well, so we're kind of judging them off Vmax style based on the fact that it can charge himself up. I will say he can go in my top tier because I do think the Pokemon Trading Card Game Company trying to make Pikachu become like more relevant in the meta, or what meta there is, because there's no tournaments due to COVID-19. So I'd sit him on a World Italia just for the fact that he's got some decent support, and it's easier to kind of set up. And that in saying, the baby Pikachu as well can charge himself up and then hit for 200 straight away following turn, which makes it more consistent than World Decks, because all you need is one Lightning Energy and your attack, and if provided it survives. And there are things like, I think it's the Champion's Cape, I think it's called, like Leon's Cape. It's that card that gives it 50 HP. I can't remember the name. Sue me. And there is also Big Charm as well, which is a 30 extra HP, which makes him stronger. But again, so I'm going to put him as a World Type just because I'm starting to sort of see it from the fact that he is getting a lot of support. Right. So moving on. Oh, this is everything to me. We've got Alakazam V. This is, okay, so when I saw this, I was so happy. And when I saw its attack, I was just like, That's like the only way I could describe my emotions on this, because I love Alakazam. He's kind of like Gen 1 to Gen 3, whatever, Gen 4. If I can get an Abra on my team, get him to Kadabra and evolve him to Alakazam. Oh, like, he would always be on my party. He is always like my chosen psychic type. Yeah, he's a bit of a glass cannon, like, and he kind of gets knocked out the moment you like throw a stick at him. But he's just, I don't know, I just think this, he's just so badass. He's just so cool. Anyway, to evaluating this Pokemon's worth, so put 3 damage counters on opponent's Pokemon any way you like. So I like Fort Spoon. That was that attack. I just read the effect out of it out first. This is great because this is basically Bench Barrier Mew, but on bigger legs, and it's got a damage counter a bit attack. So a bit of a snipey going on, and can kind of like confirm some quick knockouts as well if you kind of get to that critical play in the game. Mind Ruler, very good late game, or bad if you're playing Reset Stamp. I can't wait for that card to go out of rotation. So I don't think this is very good. He's good late game, but I don't think he's powerful. It's just nice to see Alakazam back. But I don't, like, it comes down to a situation of the kind of deck your opponent's playing against, because if they take lots of prize cards in its late game, you know, you could be seeing a lot of damage from this Pokemon. But all it takes is one Marnie, and with things like Marnie in the game and Reset Stamp, if you use Reset Stamp, it'll only affect you like that. But if people are playing Marnie, that's a card that's seen in play in almost every deck. This card instantly becomes bad because it's like the moment it takes a knockout, your opponent will try and see into that Marnie. If they don't see into that Marnie, great. But if you're doing, let's just say you'll need 4 to do 120 damage, 8 to do 240. 11 to do 310, 12 to do 340 to hit the Vmax. But if they're resistant to Dark, you'll need 12 or 13. Anyway, besides the point. The issue I have here is it's good. It's a good attack, but it's inconsistent. You can't rely on its attack. It's literally like you take it one in a deck and then you prepare for that moment. Or you use it for its first attack in mind. So you combine this with a Zigzagoon and you hit for the 14 and swing around for Charizard in a Charizard deck, but then you'd have to run Psychic Energy, which means you can't run it in there. So again, he kind of falls short on that, because if it was colourless, it'd be like a lot more utility. But because it's Psychic, I don't think it's that good. It would be good in Dragapult decks, but that's about it. I need to come off that, so I keep clicking on the wrong. So Alakazam. As much as I'm glad he's back, he's meh. Just meh. So he's not terrible. I mean, Butterfree V wasn't really terrible. Butterfree V is all meh, but I just thought, well, because Butterfree V was released. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going into that. Anyway. We'll continue on with the charade. Tirade. I don't know. I'm tired. It's like I wanted to make a video, so I'm making one. Okay, so. Oh, okay. Galarian Sirfetchd. We'll get the juicy artwork there. Now, that art is sick. He looks like a really angry Dungeons and Dragons character. So, Paladin Sirfetchd. Ability, Roulette Spear. Once during your turn, when this Pokemon moves from the bench to the active spot, you may move any amount of fighting energy from your other Pokemon to it. Okay, so this is good. We've also got Colossal. Fantastic against Eternatus, which is like the strongest deck at the moment, so this is going to be like the perfect counter to that. So, and the fact that we've got Fighting Dojo just makes him even more stronger. That being said, you're running a stage 3 setup, which means that you're going to have to run some fire energy to get the setup from Colossal if you choose that kind of build. He's great because he acts as like a Heatran GX, but in a V form for fighting Pokemon. So he's great there. And because fighting Pokemon don't really have energy acceleration. But that being said, you've also got Karate Belt. I think that's still an orientation. You got Karate Belt, which as long as your opponent in the winning prize situation, you can use one less fighting energy. I think that's the case. I might be wrong. I'm going off memory here. So I've only seen that card used against me. So I don't play fighting decks. Used against me like once or twice. I think that's what it does. So he can be very good in that situation. So yeah, Meteor Mass, 200 damage. During this next turn, this Pokemon can't attack. Again, that's not a problem. You just switch it out. You switch it out for another one and you go on the offense, and because of its ability, that's it. Like you're not paying anything. You just need the air balloon. So he's really good in that. This card's going to be really good, especially free energy for 200, and the only cost is not attacking. You're not sacrificing energy. So we'll get the smaller one. I'm going to put him in the same tier as... And he's strong against Vmax Pikachu. Pikachu Vmax. So I think it's going to go in this category just because of how strong it is how strong it's going to be against the strongest decks. Against Eternatus, against Pikachu, which has a lot of potential. Could be wrong. I still think it's going to be a valid contender. And there's also, like, I keep saying about energy acceleration, I keep forgetting about Turbo Patch. There's that as well. Moving on. So, yeah. Okay, so I was looking at this earlier. Not a fan. So we got Damanitan V. Not Damanitan. Drapion. We got Drapion V. And basically... He kind of doesn't... He just doesn't... This is the Butterfree of the deck. This is like the Butterfree of Shocking Volt Tackle. So JPMV is the Butterfree V of this set from or what would have been the Butterfree V of this set. Yeah. So, as my brain just went, what kind of metaphor am I trying to make, Dan? Okay, so, did I just... Anyway, he's a wilder target, attach a dark energy, he doesn't really do much. So discard 2 energy from the active Pokemon and leave your opponent's Pokemon paralysed and confused, which is great. But there's a lot more consistency with Torkoal. Torkoal does the same thing, except it lacks the paralysis and the poison. So, again, that's my opinion on that. So, I don't like it. I just don't think it's good. Like, if you're going to play the deck that does that kind of ability, like discarding energy, like, Torkoal is king. He has the welder, he's going to be faster at pulling the energy out, and you can combine Torkoal with Colossal as well, and, well, yeah, he needs less amounts of energy to do something. So, I'm sorry, he is the Butterfree fee of this set. Poor Butterfree getting so much hate. We like Butterfree in the anime, but the V card that they released for it is just shocking. Why would they just do such a thing? Let's make ADP more powerful. Let's do it. Come on, Pokemon Company. Let's get sickening. No, this is not good. I mean, this card's stupid. 210 HP again. That's good. Kind of would get like smashed by a lot of things that can hit over it. Weakness to fire. So again, that's already. But you forget all that stuff. Sonic Edge, 130 damage. Ignore all effects on your opponent's active Pokemon when doing this damage. So all the things we need in the game at the moment to kind of stop, to make like evolution decks more viable, is to basically stop supporting the basic stuff. And this just makes there's like 1 or 2 evolution decks, or stage 2 should we say. This just defeats the point of it, because it smashes through Decidueye like it's butter. Galarian Obstagoon. No, it's just Obstagoon, because no Galarian, there's no Hoenn Zigzagoon, whatever. My point is, this deck sits in the Zacian ADP. It's got Metal Saucer to charge it up. It's busted. It's gonna hit. This is gonna be the card that you're gonna run into, knowing the moment you know your opponent's playing Decidueye or Obstagoon, you'll be attacking with this. And then, like, it's even got, it's just missing a few short of HP to do the full knockouts, because Decidueye is 140, I think. That being said, again, this is just like, they're making the most powerful and scary deck in the game more scary. I mean, it's great, it's a good card, that's the problem with it, it's a good card. This card deserves a rating on its own, just because of that capability. So it's gonna go in its lit. It's just stupid. Like, it's just giving us the ability. It's just giving the game the ability to bypass those, like those V walls, I'm gonna call them, or the basic walls, the things that are making the stage 2 decks viable. This card is gonna be the thing that destroys those stage 2 decks. And it's steel. It's a metal format. We knew this. So we got Aegislash Vmax. I didn't even say the previous one was Aegislash. Yeah, the previous one was Aegislash, by the way, guys. Now you've learned something. Oh, that was so cringy. Anyway, Aegislash Vmax. So again, this card gets really good. It does 30 for each prize card that you've taken, so you can get a maximum. Let's just say if you've taken 5 prizes, it's unlikely that you'll get to use this attack during that circumstance. It can hit for a total of 310 damage, which is really good. But again, does steel really need this amount of power? It's got it. It's getting it. And it's got 320 HP. The only downside is weakness to fire, but I can't rate something based on its weakness to fire alone. That's actually really good. I'm going to stick it here. This is going to be my one exception to the one rule that I've made. Because I think this card, this one here, is so, like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, it's got such a, like, great utility. It stands on its own. You wouldn't have to play the Vmax to play the V. But you'd probably tech in the Vmax just so you've not got a 210 bench attacker waiting to be attacked. So you can give it more health if you're not going to use it for that function in the situation you brick and you draw nothing but it, and then you have to play it anyway. Again, if you take 5 prizes, it becomes a really powerful card in that sense anyway. In a deck like ADP, it's not very difficult to take 5 prizes. Speaking as someone that my first video was an ADP deck profile, this is someone who has played it, and yeah, I'll leave it at that. Let's just like all lick ADP from it. So I think that's it. So that's all the V Pokemon. There's some really interesting Pokemon here. I would like to kind of say that Steel Pokemon are getting this as well. So this acts as a metal energy, as obvious. And it basically protects those Steel Pokemon from weakness. So basically, Steel Pokemon are not getting touched by fire. And that is probably the one thing that makes ADP bearable to play against when you're like me and you're a welder stacker. Or a welder snacker. I like a welder stacker. That makes me sound like scum. I love it. That's the only thing that kind of, again, like I said, it's the only thing that makes the deck bearable to play is that you know you can hit those Zacians for weakness. Get a knockout in on a Volcanion. But this stops it. This card makes the steel cards better. Anyway, enough about that. Anything other interesting to look through? Like, there was a few things. So we have a baby Zacian kind of effect. So it was potentially no, ignore me on that. I'll cut that out. So we have a terrible Mighty Anna in a Rare Candy was like, I was watching Rare Candy when I was like looking at doing this video. I wanted to see what his take on it was, and he was just like, Mighty Anna's never had a good card, and it's like, I agree. It's kind of sad. Anyway, so that being said, we've got a new Charizard in this set, which is cool. We've got a bunch of evolutions in this set, which is also cool. So I don't, like I say, I just wanted to like rate the I wanted to kind of like rate the V Pokemon and just kind of give my opinion on it and just see where they sort of stand on me. And for me, this is like what I think is going to be good. I'm questioning this, not that one. I'm questioning, like, I reckon everyone might hold on to one of these for their binders because it is like, it can be used in almost every deck. It's like Zacian, but instead you're attaching an energy for an extra discard and an extra 6 cards. Zacian kind of stops you discarding and just gives you 3. This gives you 6 plus some bin, like some like stuff in a discard, and sometimes that could be good for this game. So I would stick this here personally. Like, if I had it my way, he would go in between a welder target because it actually is a welder target. But it's not meta changing. It's just going to be one of those, like, it's a tech, and that's as far as it goes. I think this should probably go here because of the deck it goes in. It goes in the most powerful deck in the game, hands down. And this, again, it boasts a lot of power, and it just kind of, if you mix up the metal energy, so I'm thinking these will go here actually as well, the targets. I just think they're really good in that sense. But I kind of stand on everything else. I think those are going to be those are the top 5 cards. We'll just stick that there, just for the sake of it. I just think those are going to be the top 5 cards in this in the set. From this set alone, there'll be a lot more to come, obviously, because this is just shocking Volt Tackle. This is one of like the smaller sets that Japan release. We'll get them as a bigger set. We'll probably get them all. I don't know too much about that. This is like my first kind of card crunching video, trying to just go through. I don't want to go through everything and bore everyone to death. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. When they release Vivid Voltage, we'll know what we'll get soon enough. I just hope we get our Alakazam and we get our Talonflame. We'll definitely be getting a Pikachu. That's confirmed on the set, obviously. But yeah, like, feel free to comment on the video down below if I've mixed anything up or got anything wrong. I'm here to learn. This is like my first time actually reviewing part of like the set before release. So this has been quite educational. So I've kind of already got this like knowledge to know what I'm going to be essentially hunting for when I build my deck portfolio. So yeah, that again, this is just my thoughts on the video. Like I say, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. I am hosting a competition where I'm giving away 2 Eternatus Vmax promo codes and 20 Darkness Ablaze booster pack codes. So for that competition, I'll put some details in the description. That being said, have a great day and good night, guys.